important issue. Arizona used to be known for the hateful law of SB 1070 and Sheriff Joe Arpaio, but no more. We have elected a new sheriff, a new county recorder. And next year we're going to send Donald Trump back to Russia and elect a new town. Are you ready to do everything in your power to win next year?
Yeah!
Are we going to turn Maricopa County and Arizona blue in 2020? All right, everyone, we're going to introduce our next speaker, my good friend, and our next Board of Supervisor, Jevin Hodge. Thank you.
Arizona! Hold on, Arizona. Let's show Congressman some love. Arizona! It is a great honor to be with you all today. My name is Jevin Hodge, your next Maricopa County Board of Supervisor. Stephen, thank you for your leadership. The Maricopa County Democratic Party Chairman, thank you. Let's give him a round of applause. As a point of personal privilege, I would like to acknowledge our Arizona Democratic Party Chairwoman, Felicia Rodolini. Thank you for your leadership. It is my job and distinctive honor, ladies and gentlemen, to introduce to you a true champion. Someone who's out there doing the right thing, that's fighting for the people. He was a two-term council member in El Paso, Texas, the mayor pro tem, a congressman, and now he's running for president of the United States of America. Muy buenos días a todos. Gracias por estar aquí. So, a little bit later today, I'm going to be calling my mom back in El Paso. And she's going to ask me, did you go to church today? And I'm going to have to tell her, no, I was in a bar. But the bar was called the Churchill. So, we're going to see if we can make it out. This reminds me so much, in the best possible way, of El Paso, Texas, my hometown. The fact that we're on I-10 and just a 6-hour drive from my front door, which in Texas terms is next door. This beautiful sky and the sun went on a run this morning, and it was just gorgeous. Running alongside a canal. People riding their bikes, they were running as well. Ducks and other birds. I know what a duck is, but the other birds I couldn't name. Just beautiful. And then to see all of you. And I don't want to presume that you're here to see me. You may just be drinking beers on Sunday mornings, as a matter of course. But whatever brought you here, I am so grateful to be doing this with you. To have the fired up Stephen bringing me up here, to hear Jevin, who should be in a position of public trust and holding office as soon as possible. Really powerful. And then to see so many great supporters, grassroots volunteers, friends from El Paso, Texas, and as far away as Alaska. People wearing the UTEP Miners shirt right over there, picks up. And all the love that all of you have sent to us in El Paso, Texas, after one of the worst terror attacks in the history of the United States of America. A terror attack that was not an act of nature or an act of God or something that we could not predict. It did not just happen like a comet might just happen. It was something that was driven and welcomed out into the open by a president who has described people in our community of El Paso, described people in the community of Phoenix because of their heritage and the country from which they came as animals or predators or an invasion or an infestation. At a rally in May of this year in Florida, he's talking about this invasion. These immigrants were coming here to kill us. to take our jobs, to take from this country. Though immigrants commit crimes at a far lower rate than those who are born in America, though immigrants give far more than they could ever hope to take from this country, though we can tell you from the perspective in El Paso, Texas, one of the safest cities in the United States of America, we are safe, not despite the fact that we're a city of immigrants and asylum seekers and refugees. We are safe precisely because we're a city of immigrants and asylum seekers and refugees. But at that rally in Florida, when the president asks the crowd that is assembled, what are we going to do about this invasion? How are we going to stop these immigrants? Someone in the crowd yells out, "Shoot them!" And unlike everyone here, everyone there roared and laughed and gave that violent man their consent. And the president smiled and laughed along with them, giving them his assent as well. And that killer from Allen, Texas, who ordered an AK-47, and when it arrived, that weapon that was designed and engineered and sold to the militaries of the world for the express purpose of killing people on a battlefield, because it is so fucking devastatingly effective in doing that. When that weapon comes in, the killer's mother calls the police in Allen, Texas, and says, "What does my son need with this? He's not in the military. You do not need it to hunt. It's no use for self-defense in your home. What do I do?" And because, although it is not okay, it is perfectly legal in the state of Texas, the police in Allen said, "Ma'am, I'm sorry, there's nothing we can do." And that young man, with that firearm, fueled by hatred, that has long been a part of this country, in fact, a foundational racism that has been with us as long as we have been a country, now welcomed out into the open by this president, drove those 600 miles, and before he walked into a Walmart on a Saturday before the first day of school in El Paso, Texas, he posted a manifesto online. And he echoed in that manifesto the words of the President of the United States of America, the most powerful man on planet Earth. Talked about his fears of an invasion or being replaced as a white man by Hispanics in what he thought was his own country. And he told police afterwards, "I came here to kill Mexicans." In under 3 minutes, 22 people were murdered. Dozens more grievously injured. A 15-year-old boy, before he could start the first day of school as a sophomore in Horizon, gunned down in line at a Walmart. A 90-year-old man next to his 87-year-old wife. They had been married for 70 years, had survived one another and everything that life could throw at them for 70 years. Killed where he stood in line because of his ethnicity. So the country where he was born, because of this hatred and racism and our political impotence when it comes to changing gun laws and saving the lives of our fellow Americans. So what if we decided we were going to see this clearly for what it is, speak honestly about it, call it by its true name, and decide that we were going to act decisively? That means not only universal background checks, an end to the sale of weapons of war, and thanks Moms Demand Action, but it also means every firearm is registered, every gun owner is licensed, and every AK-47 and AR-15 is bought back. So that we really churches, in their synagogues. I want to make sure that a community like El Paso, because of our differences, that we're a community of asylum seekers and immigrants, that's what drove that killer to our hometown. Perhaps it also offers the best example, an alternative to this hatred, to this racism, to this violence that we see in America today, because in El Paso, we understand that our differences are not dysfunctional or disqualifying or dangerous. They are foundational and fundamental to our success and any chance we have of fulfilling our promise as a country. So I say to you, no me importa to whom you pray or who you love, how many generations you can count yourself an American, or whether you just got to this country yesterday. You are my fellow human being. You are my fellow American. I'm going to treat everyone with the respect and the dignity that we deserve. And how about those who've been marginalized and made to feel afraid and even ashamed of who they are? What about the more than 1 million dreamers who came to this country in many instances because they had no choice but to come here? Their parents, the original dreamers, made one of the most difficult decisions that I can imagine. Leave your hometown, your home country, your family, to start anew as a stranger in a strange land, to do better for yourself and your kids, just like I want to do better for myself and my kids, but also, importantly, to do better for this country. And by their very presence, I would argue they have. So let us ensure that no dreamer lives in fear going forward, because we make each and every single one of them U.S. citizens in their true home country, the United States of America. Con este país, si queremos asegurar nuestras comunidades, necesitamos tratar a cada persona con respeto y dignidad como merecen, como humanos. De esta manera vamos a hacer el liderazgo que este país necesita en este momento. We're going to treat people with respect, not just those dreamers, but their parents, their siblings, more than 10 million working the toughest jobs in America today. Bring them forward. This country's immigration laws in our own image. It's going to look like Arizona. Talking to a young woman as I was walking in. In fact, she's 16 years old, too young to vote, but not too young to stand up and be counted at this moment of truth. And I asked her, tell me what's most important to you. One of the first things she talked about was the fact that this planet is cooking right now, warming beyond our ability on this trajectory to support human life in some of the places that we call home today and take for granted. Here it is, what is it, 95 degrees this morning in Phoenix, Arizona, in El Paso, Texas, the second fastest warming city in the United States of America. We broke every heat record on the books in the month of August. The fires, the droughts, the floods, the storms, those as well are not acts of God or Mother Nature. They are the consequence of our emissions, our excesses, and our inaction in the face of the facts and the science and the truth. And the young people, they know this better than any of us, because they will reap the consequences of what we do or what we fail to do in the 10 years, which is all the scientists have given us within which to act to avert the worst catastrophe, the worst hell that we could possibly imagine for every generation that follows ours. And here's what they say to me: let us free ourselves from all dependence on fossil fuels, fully embrace renewable wind and solar and geothermal technology, the high-skilled, high-wage, high-value jobs that come along with that. Make sure that we ask rural communities and farmers to do their part as well. Pay them for the environmental services that they want to provide. Planting cover crops, pulling more carbon out of the air, sequestering more of it in the soil. In other words, given the severity of the challenge, no half steps, no half measures, no half the country, everything from all of us at this deciding moment of truth. And then, as a country, standing up and convening the other powers of the planet to ensure that they do their part as well. This, our greatest moment of peril, might also be our finest hour. It is up to us to decide. And if we're talking about everyone, then let's really bring everyone in. I think about those who are living with disabilities in America right now. Some of them, because of their disability, unable to get to the ballot box and cast a vote. We need a new Voting Rights Act that ends racism in our voting, but also ends the barriers that have prevented people from being able to cast their ballot because of a physical disability. We need to make sure that in our schools, we follow the lead of our heroic public school educators. Who are trying to deliver care for each and every child, world-class classroom instruction for each and every child. But today in this country, though we have the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, we have underfunded it to the tune of $23 billion a year. That means that those special ed teachers have double the student loan that they should have. They have double the student population in front of them, and sometimes are taking on double the jobs that they should have. We will pay every teacher a salary commensurate with her value in the classroom. We will wipe clean and clear their student loan debts so they can focus on those children in front of them. We will make sure they never again have to fear an active shooter walking into that classroom. They already sacrificed so much. Let us not ask them to sacrifice anymore. When we're talking about everybody, we've got to mean everybody. And I think about this. This country, though we have been in the past the leading light for the world for liberty and freedom, incarcerates more of our fellow Americans than does any other planet, than does any other country on the face of the planet. And any other planet for that matter. I've looked at Jupiter and Mars. Nobody's doing the shit that we're doing here in America. 2.3 million people behind bars, disproportionately comprised of people of color. Folks doing time for possession of marijuana, a substance that is legal in more than half the states in the country today. A war on drugs that has become a war on people, and some people more than others. Though white Americans and brown Americans and black Americans use marijuana at the same rate, more likely than not, it will be black Americans who are stopped and frisked and arrested and incarcerated, and upon release, made to check a box on every employment application form, meaning it's less likely that they get the job, no longer qualifying for student loans to improve themselves through higher education, no longer able to get a small business loan to become that entrepreneur who will create opportunity and jobs. Some people have called the war on drugs the new Jim Crow in America, and I don't think that they are wrong. Here's what we do. Number one, we legalize marijuana in America going forward. Number two, we expunge the arrest records for everyone caught in possession of a substance that should be legal in America. Number three, we end for-profit prisons in America as well as cash bail. And then we do this, which is much harder, but that much more important. We acknowledge the founding of this country is not the 4th of July, 1776, although that is an important day where they signed a document that said all of us were created equal. But the lie is given to that on the 20th of August, 1619, the first time a kidnapped man from West Africa was transported here against his will and made to build the greatness, the wealth, and the success of this country, for which neither he for his descendants alive today in 2019 are fully able to participate in, because it is not just the prison population. It's not just the fact that there is 10 times the wealth in white America than there is in black America. It is not just that we have a maternal mortality crisis that is 3 times as deadly for women of color. It is not just that in a kindergarten classroom, a child of color is 5 times as likely to be suspended or disciplined or expelled as a white kid in front of the same teacher for the same infraction. This is in every aspect of American life today, so we must take it on at its root. And as president, I will sign into law Sheila Jackson Lee's reparations bill to make sure that we have the conversation, bring everyone's story, and tell the true national story of this country. Only then do we stop visiting these injustices on future generations. Only then do we begin to repair the damage done. Only then do we bring every single American into the success of America. Are you with me on this? Last point, and I want to hear from you. So we were in Las Vegas a couple of days ago having a town hall just like this. And a woman approached me with her adult disabled daughter. That I have a chance, if you would allow me, and I would be happy to talk with you. Let's make sure we treat her with respect. I'm grateful that you're here, even if you disagree. Let's be cool. Let's be cool. I want to make sure that I share this woman's story, because she is the kind of person, and this is the kind of story, that isn't often enough part of the national conversation. In Las Vegas, she approaches me with her adult daughter, who's living with disabilities, who requires 24-hour supervision from her mother. That mother is working 4 jobs right now, including for Uber Eats and DoorDash, and is herself a home healthcare worker. But she does not make enough to be able to put a roof over her head, so she and her daughter are living in her car. And her question to me was not about the injustice of the situation in which she finds herself today. Her question to me is, why in Las Vegas is it illegal for me to be able to live in my car? Because it's the only place that I can live right now. To her, I want all of us to commit to the following. That she not have to work 4 jobs, that she be paid enough in one so that is sufficient, $15 an hour as before a minimum wage in America. That she no longer have to worry about health care for herself or for her daughter, because we've committed to universal, high-quality, middle-class health care for every single American. And that means primary health care, prescription medication health care, mental health care in a country where we lock up people with schizophrenia and bipolar disorder and clinical depression who ask to be arrested on purpose to go to the one place they're guaranteed that care. No more. You should be able to see that provider without fear, to be able to pursue their full potential in your life. Y también, y además, every person, every woman making her own decisions about her own body and the actions. In America, those millions of our fellow Americans who are homeless or have experienced homelessness, including their children, very often not at town hall meetings like these, very often not running for office or holding positions of public trust, very often not heard in America. This campaign, all of us, we hear them, and we're going to invest in housing for our fellow Americans. No one should be homeless in the wealthiest country in the face. Should we have any hope that we can get any of this done? answer is that 16-year-old woman that I met as I was walking in. My answer is Catherine, who's the state director for March for Our Lives, who's celebrating her birthday today. My answer is that at every turn, at every significant moment of this country's history, it has been young people who are willing to stand up and force the change that we need. Franklin Delano Roosevelt was our president and led us into World War II. It was 17, 18, 19-year-old men, really just a little bit older than boys, on those transports, crossing the English Channel, landing at Normandy, putting their lives on the line, willingly sacrificing them so that we could be here today. It was young men and young women in 1960 sitting at the lunch counter in Woolworths in Greensboro, North Carolina, to force the integration of places of public accommodation. It was children in Birmingham in 1963 who led the Children's Crusade up against fire hoses that peeled the bark off of trees, stripped the clothes off of their backs. 1,200 kids as young as 12 years old arrested on the first day of that crusade. It is to them, more than LBJ, that is owed the credit for the Civil Rights Act of 64, the Voting Rights Act of 65. And whether it is the Sunrise Movement, or Moms Demand, or March for Our Lives, young people are standing up. Young people will force the change that we need, and the young people are going to lead the way